Hey everyone, we have our last batch of cards here. We're going to start off with Demon Hunter with Sightless Magistrate, 4 mana, 5/4. Battle Cry, both players draw until they have 5 cards. Given the aggressive strat that already exists in Demon Hunter, right? Being able to not discard but shuffle back cards in your hand. This Magnifying Glaive, right? We have this sort of low card dependent reload, right? It only works if you're kind of out of cards. I think that we're actually going to see quite a bit of um, these effects. I think that this might just be enough to push this deck up a tier or two. No, just up a tier. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think that this does actually help the deck quite a bit. Bibliomite is pretty strong already, and remember they buffed it, so I think we might even see a reversion of that buff at some point because I think that this deck is really coming together. If it doesn't show up this expansion, I would be surprised if we don't see it by the end of the year. Next, we have a 5 mana Fel spell. All Fel Breaks Loose. This is one of those unique infuse things. Summon a friendly demon that died this game. Infuse 3 demons, summon 3 instead. So this is sort of at odds with itself, in my opinion. Feels to me like generally if you're playing, if you're summoning demons that die this game, you want to summon big demons. But you end up summoning small ones because you need to infuse it with demons. So, okay, let's say I have Imp Lock. I'm making big boards of imps. I can infuse those with demons easily. I don't really have anything to summon. Okay, let's say I'm playing Big Demon Hunter. Again, I don't have a way to infuse this to summon them. And for 5 mana, this is basically worthless if you're not infusing it. I don't really care about a 5 mana Resurrect, if I'm being honest. 5 mana Resurrect 3, sure. 5 mana Resurrect 1, nah, that never sees play. This needs to get infused, and without a reliable way to infuse it, it's just not going to be good. The Colossal minion, Zelag, is okay because the stalks are demons, but I think that doesn't cut it. I think that does not bring this deck. Big Demon Hunter has been one of those archetypes that they sort of half push and then they never really give it enough support. I think that this is one of those. This is an example of it not receiving enough support. All right, Attorney-at-Maw onto Druid. This is a 2 mana 1/3. Choose one. Silence a minion or give a minion immune. This is very cool. Historically, give a minion immune effects have been pretty key for combo pieces. Cheap silence. I mean, the cheaper the better, right? Ironbeak Owl saw play at 2 mana. Kind of didn't at 3, but the point was it had to be nerfed because it was so ubiquitous, right? Um, this could see play. We have Smothering Starfish right now, which is only 1 mana more and silences the whole board. So in that sense, it's a little better. But more silence could be welcome. Again, this is sort of competing in a 40 card deck because Druid tends toward that anyway. Might see play there. I'm not super thrilled with this. I think it's fine. And again, it might see play in in some sort of big like XL Druid deck, but it's nothing amazing. It's a good card. It's a fine card. And remember we talked about due process already a few videos ago, so go ahead and check that out if you want to check the rest of these cards. But Incarceration, 3 mana Druid spell. Choose a minion, it goes dormant for 3 turns. It's kind of weak. Dormant for 3 turns is cool, especially if you don't think the game's gonna last 3 more turns. So aggro doesn't really want that though. Control, I obviously would want a tool like this, but wouldn't you rather just get rid of whatever you're really trying to deal with here? Making something go dormant for 3 turns is an okay idea. It was really hyped up when we saw Maiev for the first time. However, Maiev wasn't that useful. I don't think being a little cheaper and making them go dormant for 1 more turn is going to make it that much better. Druid does tend to struggle with hard removal, but I just don't think this is it. I don't think Druid struggles with hard removal and has sort of been compensated already with things like Scales of Onyxia or Onyxia. So we have ways to deal with this stuff, and I think that this is not it. This is not a particularly useful tool for Druid at the moment, unfortunately. We'll see play later. hard to say, but I'm still leaning no. It doesn't strike me as particularly strong either way. Now we're moving on to mage. We're gonna have 3 mage cards because we haven't seen one yet. This is a cool one. A new secret for mage, Objection. When your opponent plays a minion, counter it. So we are officially seeing the second half to Okani here, countering a minion, right? Counter spells in rotation. This is in rotation. Mage does have some pretty good secrets right now, which is going to be relevant in a second. You'll see. I don't know if I love this in general. Mage's secrets have kind of been not so great lately. The only secret class that has really been in love with its secrets lately is Hunter, and that's because it can make them cost 1. Secrets have been not so good lately. And Mage, I don't believe, I might be missing something, maybe Kieran Tor's in Standard, but I don't believe Mage has any real way to cheat out secrets right now. And I think they literally need like Cabal Lackey back in Standard to make this work. Or not Lackey, you know, the 1 mana 2/1 that makes a secret free, right? I think we would literally need that card back in Standard to make Secret Mage good. And I bring that up because, well, of course, we got the Secret Legendary, this expansion, but we also have, talk about Life Sentence in a second, Contract Conjurer, 6 mana, 6/6, costs 3 less for each secret you control. Okay, great. I can play a 3 mana, 6/6 if my secret doesn't pop, or I could play a 0 mana 6/6 on turn 6 if I just want to like play 2 secrets and then play this. I mean, like, it's so wild to me that this, I'm gonna say this is not good because Cabal Courier or Crystal Runner was amazing at the time, right? And this is similar, not exactly the same. Obviously, the stats are different and the effect is slightly different, but the fact that they have to be in your control is such a problem because ideally, if you're playing secrets, it's to proc them, right? Because if I play a secret and it doesn't do anything, I had a 3 mana do nothing turn. If I play a secret and it does something, then I have a bad ogre, bad stats for cost, right? It doesn't work out. If you can somehow get your cheat out your secrets or get secrets from other classes so they're not as expensive, right? This works very favorably, but those circumstances are hard to really make happen. And I don't see Secret Mage really coming together at the moment. Now, back to the card I accidentally skipped over because I thought I ordered them differently. Life Sentence, 4 mana. Remove a minion from the game. Excellent. I kind of forgot about the Reno effect. I didn't play that much during Descent of Dragons. But Life Sentence is a very cool card. You know, Polymorph is 4 mana. This is an even better Polymorph, right? Doesn't go into their res pool. Doesn't trigger death rattles. Functionally, like, literally gets it off the board instead of leaving a body behind, which can be a problem against, for example, like priests and paladins. But is this good right now is the question we need to ask ourselves. And I don't think it is. I think Mage would rather freeze you out than remove your stuff. I think they have a lot of tools that let you just kind of deal with things on their own time, right? Like, as Mage, you can deal with things on your own time. You don't need to worry about, like, oh, I need to remove that right now. You're just like, all right, I'll just toss out a flurry and move on with my life, you know? Oh, you have a few things on board? All right, Blizzard. No, you don't. Like, they're frozen. They can't do anything. Mage doesn't care too much about actually fully removing minions at the moment. And that's kind of a point of frustration. So I think maybe this indicates a change in design direction for Mage, right? Maybe we won't have Infinite Freeze Mage next year. So I think Life Sentence could see play next year. But until then, I think it's just a little too weak. Mage doesn't particularly need a way to just remove something from the game. But I think next year, again, that assumes some things about the rotation. But I think we could see Life Sentence in probably not even next expansion, but we're going to have to wait until next year. And then we have Shaman. This is a very cool Shaman card. It feels like a rogue card. 3 mana, 3/3, Framester, Battle Cry. Shuffle 3 framed cards into the opponent's deck. When drawn, they overload for 2. So shuffling stuff into the opponent's deck is very roguish, but here it is as a shaman card. And they made it a shaman card by giving it overload, of course, but um, there is a lot of stuff you can do here, right? So you can duplicate things that shuffle into people's cards. More importantly, you can duplicate battle cries. That is huge in standard shaman. Wild shaman just got way more annoying, right? You know, you always see the meme decks of like, oh, I locked my opponent out by playing like a bajillion Loatheb battle cries and like filling their board with 1/1s. Um, but this can actually lock them out completely by overloading them. You cannot get more locked out than not having any mana. So shuffling into your opponent's deck, some overload cards, very cool effect. Honestly, could see play. There are a lot of ways to duplicate that. I feel like you kind of need to be building around it. Like it can't be coincidental because like 3 frames in your deck. It's like shucks, I drew and now I can't. I have 6 mana instead of 8. Okay. One of the key things that I didn't think of initially, I saw this on Reddit. Shuffling into their deck. Just the act of shuffling. I don't care what it is. Get rid of those sunken cards. You know, you can't dredge them anymore. Or, oh, you ordered your deck, right? Paladin ordered its deck. No, it didn't. Have fun drawing overloads now, idiot. Goodbye, Cariel. Hello, overload. That wasn't a joke. That was just poor phrasing. So, this is a cool card. I like it. And I think it does see play. But maybe not, it's not like essential, and it's not going to be like, here's the thing, right? It is a 10 out of 10 meme card and like an 8 out of 10 regular card. So the fact that it's a good card is almost overshadowed by how you can just totally mess with people with it, which is almost more valuable in my opinion. But again, good card overall. I think it'll see play within this expansion and probably in future expansions. Torghast Custodian, 8 mana, 6/10. Battle Cry. For each enemy minion, randomly gain Rush, Divine Shield, and Wind Fury. So immediately I thought of Walking Fountain, right? 8 mana, 4/10, Rush and Wind Fury, and Lifesteal. So same idea, except it just had all that stuff. You didn't have to rely on your opponent having a big board. So for example, if I played that, I would control. It's a little control-y, right? It's an 8 mana card. Oh, and it was an elemental, which was big for Shaman at the time, right? So this sort of feels like a side grade in some ways, and then a downgrade in a lot of ways. The fact that you have to rely on your opponent having even a moderately wide board, 3 minions, that just doesn't come up in a lot of decks. This can be very unreliable. It doesn't have any tribal synergy like Walking Fountain. It doesn't have any I wouldn't say it doesn't have any like real use cases, but I would say that I wouldn't want to rely on this if like they only have 2 minions. I wouldn't want to rely on it on getting Rush and Wind Fury, right? I would be mad if it got Rush and Divine Shield. I'd be like, oh well crap, I don't need a 6/10 on board. I need to kill both their guys, otherwise I'm dead because it's turn 8 and I'm trying to play a control match, right? It just doesn't really fit that game plan that well, I think. 6/10 is a cool stat line. We don't see that often. I'm trying to think if we have. I think there was like a vanilla minion with that stat line in Whispers of the Old Gods. But anyway, yeah, not super thrilled about this one. It is a battle cry, so like if you can double your battle cries, you could gain. You would only need 1 or 2 guys to reliably get something. You know, if there's one guy, you only need the Rush really. But the fact that there's no like failsafe if you don't get Rush, right? Divine Shield and Wind Fury, cool. It's Siamat if there are only 2 guys on board. That's not very helpful. Siamat was good because of his flexibility and the fact that you got to choose. This is like more expensive Siamat that doesn't get to choose, and that's bad. I just don't see this seeing much use in standard right now. Right, and that about wraps it up. So, go ahead, take one last look at all these cards. Tell me which one is your favorite, which one is your least favorite. Tell me how wrong I am about secrets in Mage and how great secrets are. I will personally contact Jay Alexander. I will send him a business email to his business email directly just to make sure he knows that I am a serious person that needs to be taken seriously. and that I need him on my podcast that I have. Check for the link in the description. Not there, don't check. I don't have a podcast. I'm not that cringe. So, anyway, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.